Welcome everyone. It's been a while. And today I wanted to show a combinator that I made. I don't usually make combinators. I've made a couple in the past for a couple of different things, but I wanted to just play around the other day with some stuff with the new Combinator Maker, Combinator 2.0. And I came up with this deep smear. Now, obviously, I am not a very good graphic designer, but this is what I came up with, and I think it sounds pretty good, and I think it's pretty cool. So hopefully you do too. But let's take a look and see what this thing is all about. So basically, what this is a combinator which has a couple of different DR1s in it. Synapse DR1. I don't know too many people who don't love this this reverb. It's a fantastic rack extension, and I use it all the time. And I wanted to see if I could make something interesting with it. So that's a deep smear. So what is it doing exactly? So the first thing that it's doing is it's got, again, the two DR1s with different reverb times. So if we just take a look, and let me minimize this guy, and if we look at if you watch the time here, while I change the smear setting, so the smear setting is your time, you'll notice that it's affecting the time of both. So we have about up to 10 seconds of reverb, and then at the maximum setting, the lower one has a setting of about 1.78 seconds, and then at the low end we only have about 1.78 to 1, about 1 second. So the range is pretty big, but I didn't want to go all the way up to there's 60 seconds of reverb in the DR1, and I didn't think that was really necessary to use that whole 60 seconds. I think that 10 seconds sounds fantastic, and is pretty usable at that length, for a lot of if you have a fairly sparse part, it works pretty well up to about 10 seconds, and beyond that it starts to get like a little much for my taste. So obviously that setting is changing both of the reverb times independently, separately. The rest of these are all synced up. They're all the same. So for example, the high boost cut here, you see both move at exactly the same amount. 6K, this should say 6K also. And similar for the low cut and the dampening as well. Now the reason that I did that is because, and the same thing applies with the mod section. The reason I had to do that, or I wanted to do that, is because one of the other things that I'm doing here is I am inverting the polarity of one of these of the audio that's going into one of these deep reverbs. And so the effect that has on the overall sound is that it's kind of subtle, but what it does is it kind of allows the dry portion of the signal that's going into each reverb to cancel itself out. And so what ends up happening is you get this kind of swelled attack on your parts. So for example, I can show that. So we have about a 3.68 second, let's kind of get these in the same ballpark here. So I want to put this at 100% wet. Everything is basically right where it needs to be. The low boost cuts there. And well, let's turn that dampening all the way up. So we're going to compare this against a similar setting on the just stock deep reverb. So we have, again, about the maximum amount of reverb we have is 3.68 seconds. So let me set that about the same here. Okay, about there. And again, we're gonna just kind of make sure these settings make sense. So put our little cut right there. And we don't need the mod because it's off right now in both 100% wet. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is, well, first I'm gonna hide these devices so that you can see what's going on. All right, so this is a vocal from a song for my band that we're working on currently, and here's the vocal by itself just before anything is applied.
Is a lifetime guarantee.
I think I have some processing going on through my effects sends, but that is not relevant for our purposes. So, okay, I'm going to put this all the way up to 100% wet, and let's listen to the deep smear, what the deep smear does to that. Okay, so you can hear it has a very gradual kind of attack to it. Now, if I put this off and I put the deep reverb in, it should sound quite a bit different. So you can hear it's instantaneous. The attack is exactly as you would expect of any reverb, really, because there's no inverse polarity thing happening with the stock DR1. So that's kind of an interesting thing, I think, that you can do with the deep smear. It kind of helps that smear effect, right? It makes it more robust sounding, more round, I guess. It's just everything about it is very gradual. So again, let's pull the dry wet back and just listen to some sounds a little bit, get a sense for it.
Is a lifetime guarantee, and I can't afford what you're offering, and I can't wait to say goodbye. Is a lifetime guarantee, and I can't afford what you're offering, and I can't wait to say goodbye. Is a lifetime guarantee, and I can't afford what you're offering.
So you can hear it's pretty versatile. Oh, I didn't show the shorter version. So here's that's with a pretty long smear length. Let's try it with a little bit shorter.
Is a lifetime guarantee, and I can't afford what you're offering, and I can't wait to say goodbye.
So you can hear it's pretty versatile. I think it sounds pretty good. And so some of the other things that this is doing that's a little bit different than the stock DR1. So if we crack this back open and we look at the pre-reverb EQ here. So the high boost cut, low boost cut, and the high frequency dampening knobs, they don't just control the those respective controls on the DR1. They actually also do a little bit of extra. So you'll notice that we only have low cut on the DR1, but in the deep smear, it's a boost and a cut. So if we leave it at unity here in the middle, we get basically no change. If we pull this back, we start cutting. You see the cut goes up, but the other thing that's happening too is you're seeing this cut happen here. So you're seeing a bell cut at about 250 hertz. But when you transition into a boost, it turns the low cut here in the reverb all the way off if you go all the way up, but it also adds that 250, but it's no longer a bell at this point. Once you get past that halfway mark, it starts being just a shelving boost. So it's kind of neat because you can get that, it kind of cut out that 250 hertz, which I find to be a problem region a lot of the time. As a bell, it cuts it out. And then in boost, if you just need more fullness and you boost, it turns into a shelving boost, and that should be about 8 dB plus and minus here. Yeah, and then the reason that I left this in the middle here is that so when you're, even though it's technically in the middle, according to this, it's not doing a boost or a cut. It's really only at 31 hertz, which is, you're not going to hear that anyway 99% of the time. So boosting turns it all the way down to 0, or I think 1 hertz, which is way sub your hearing range. And then cutting it will put this all the way up to, it says 1K, but I'm pretty sure it actually goes up higher than that. But it gives you pretty flexible EQ range nonetheless. And similar things are happening with the high boost here. So we've got if you turn it all the way to the right, it turns the high cut all the way off, and it actually adds about 8 dB to the 6K as a shelving boost. And then if you start to cut, it doesn't cut here in the shelving anymore. That just stays at unity, but it does continue the high cut in the actual the DR1. So I think it has a pretty musical sound to it in terms of the transition from here all the way through. I think it sounds pretty nice. And the high frequency dampening, I believe, is just straight up just controlling the dampening on these two. I don't think it does anything in here, which is fine. And between these two, so the high frequency dampening, again, the dampening is just going to affect the actual reverb, the high frequencies reverberating. It doesn't actually cut the high frequencies out of the audio, and so that allows the high frequency dampening and the high boost cut allows you to add a little bit of brightness back to it if you're cutting or if you're dampening a lot in the reverb. So if we listen to that, for example, we can.
Is a lifetime guarantee.
So this is just.
Is a lifetime guarantee, and I can afford.
So you can hear it. It kind of gets a little too dull for my taste.
Is a lifetime guarantee, and I can afford.
You can add a little bit extra brightness in there with this high boost cut. And similarly, again, the low boost cut right now it sounds a little bit too boomy for my liking.
Is a lifetime guarantee.
So it just takes a little bit of that out of there. We're taking it again 250 hertz, and we're just dropping that down by 1.7. And we're only up to 66 hertz, but it clears up quite a bit with this low boost cut here. And then so let's just take a listen to one other instrument. So this is a complex one thing patch. So let's just bypass that and hear what that sounds like without it. So that's pretty loud. So let me actually change the gain here so that when we listen to the pretty nice, I think. And again, you get some pretty useful ranges here for. I'm gonna make that a little break. Oh, that's way too much. Pull that back. If we want to make that a little bassier, add some. A bit more of a wash to it, and we can take this down to. And yeah, that's the deep smear. So I think it sounds pretty good. It's again, you got to keep in mind that there are some quirks with having a reversed polarity signal in there. So one of those is that the mod, if you flip the polarity and the mod cycles get out of sync somehow, you can end up hearing the moderate or the modulation is on. You may end up hearing it louder than you would normally think. And all you have to do there is save the project and reopen the project, and it should resync the modulation, so that when it plays back at the right. They're synced again. The modulations from one DR1 to the next. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting little combinator. It was fun to put together, and yeah, I hope you like it.